Hi everybody, this is Phil Haloka from Complete Captive Management Services. And today we continue our three-part series on the structural documents. Today's conversation is going to spotlight the membership agreement and the participation agreement. So let's dive right in. The purpose of the membership agreement is to express the rights of the insured or the employer when they have an interest to join an existing captive arrangement. So what does that mean? Generally, that means a group captive that brings on a new member. That new member will engage a membership agreement. On the flip side, if a captive wishes to exchange risk within a risk pool, it will enter into a participation agreement. Now, participation agreements are most closely related to single parent captives or direct writer captives. Okay. However, if the single parent captive does not enter into a risk pool, then there's no need for a participation agreement. But there will always be a need for a membership agreement within a group captive arrangement. The author, both membership and participation agreement, they are crafted by the engaged legal counsel. Now, the employer who joins a group captive will not have to engage legal counsel to craft this document, but rather the existing group captive's legal counsel will draft that document. And the same for the risk pool. The legal counsel for the existing risk pool will already have the participation agreement crafted. Okay. The users, the membership agreement, the employer is the user, and the insured's captive is the user of the participation agreement. A little different. Okay. Now, a few important things to think about or to discover whenever you're vetting out a membership agreement. You want to make sure the voting rights are clearly expressed. Does the insured have voting interest within the group captive? That's pretty important to understand. Okay. The membership agreement will also express what the surplus requirements are. Now, surplus is not collateral. Because remember, collateral is calculated and collected by the fronting carrier. Okay? So what will really happen is the surplus amount required by the group captive will be expressed in the membership agreement, and let's call it $50,000. The $50,000 that's collected as surplus, some of that will be posted as collateral to the fronting carrier. So maybe that's $20,000 collateral or $25,000 collateral. So don't get these mistaken. They are not one and the same. How the insured is able to get out of the group captive is a very important conversation. You shouldn't get into any arrangement without knowing how to get out of it. Therefore, understanding the departure terms are very important. Now, departure terms could be all over the board. Some group captives are more restrictive than others, so it's a good idea to have an understanding of what the market will bear. Distributions. The sole reason why any employer joins a captive is to collect underwriting profits within their captive. If distributions are made by cash, then that's good. If distributions are made to offset future premiums, okay, that's not so good. But if there are no distributions made, why are you in a group captive? You got to ask yourself that question. Arbitration. When you disagree with the captive's business practices, where are you going to argue your dispute? That's important to understand. Because if you're a New York business and arbitration is to be heard in Arizona, You got some questions to ask. Okay. Important elements on the participation agreement are very similar. Voting. Does the captive, single parent captive or direct writer captive, have any voting rights within the risk pool? You may or may not. Capital and surplus. Now, capital and surplus are kind of used interchangeably, but since there's no fronting carrier, there's no collateral requirements. Now, the risk pool may require some type of collateral, and if so, that will be expressed on the participation agreement. Risk pool fees and expenses that may be in a participation agreement or that may be in the reinsurance agreement we'll talk about next week. Distributions. This isn't that big of a deal because a single parent captive or a direct captive has closer access to distributions. However, timeliness of distributions will be expressed in the participation agreement. Okay? Liquidation. If your captive has run its course and served its duty and it's ready to shut down, what's the liquidation process? And same with arbitration. If you don't agree with the risk pool's handling of a situation, you're going to have to arbitrate. Where is arbitration going to be located? Another important question to discover. And then notes. Membership agreements are generally not filed with the captive domicile. On the other hand, the participation agreement is. So there's a certain level of additional scrutiny here because you have a regulator looking at the participation agreement, a second set of eyes, so to speak. With the membership agreement, you don't have that. So highly, highly recommended to get your legal counsel involved in vetting out and approving the membership agreement. So that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to talk about the policy and the re- and retrocession agreement. Thanks. Have a good week.